I've read 5 books this month, not too bad. I'm going to just do them in any random order because I don't want to start with the ones that I didn't enjoy and then sort of build up. I like to sort of mix it up. Let's keep it crazy. So I'm going to go with this one, Out of the Shadows. This is by Anne Marie West, and this is Fred and Rose West's oldest daughter. Actually, I'm talking piffle. She's Fred's daughter from his first marriage, but he killed her mum and decided to keep her to abuse by all accounts. So I recently read Lover's Always Mum by Mae West, and in that book she did quote a couple of things that had been taken from this book, and so I had to read this, and it was really hard to come by. I paid an extortionate amount of money. I practically had to remortgage my house to pay for this. People on eBay absolutely ripping your eyes out. But anyway, I paid it. It was worth it in the end, actually. I'm pleased I picked it up. This was brilliant. That sounds wrong because of the subject matter, because it is absolutely grim. It is vile. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Fred and Rose West started sexually abusing Anne Marie when she was 8 years old in the vilest, most obscene way. And she describes what happened to her. And if you are easily triggered, this is not one for you. But if you're interested in true crime and you'd like to know more about what went on in the West household, this is a one I would definitely recommend looking for. It's pricey to get your hands on, but oh my life, I've never read anything like this. The woman is an absolute amazing survivor. I can't believe anybody could even live through this amount of abuse, let alone live through it and then go on to have your life afterwards. I can't believe it. But one thing that really did strike me as odd is that she still maintained a relationship with Fred and Rose after she moved out. And when you read what happened to her in this book, if you do, you'll find that as bizarre as I did. And I'm thinking of making a separate video actually about the West books that I've got. So I'll get into that at another time. But just if you're interested in the Fred and Rose West case and what went on in the house, and especially if you've read Mae West's book and you would like to know more, try Anne Marie's if you are not easily triggered, because as I've said before, this is obscene, grotesque, and just the sort of thing that if you saw it in a horror film, you would think it was just they'd gone too far. You'd think that they'd pushed it too far. It was unbelievable now, but this is a true story, and it's worth a read to understand the darker side of human nature, if nothing else. The next book that I got I didn't particularly enjoy is this one, Keep the Home Fires Burning. This was a little bit too whimsical for me. It's based around the WI in this little country village called Great Paxton, and the women who are in the WI and their lives and what they're all getting up to during World War II. But I wasn't too into it. I found it a bit too whimsical, a little bit too floaty, and so for that reason I didn't get on with this too well. Now I give it 2 stars. The next book that I've got is this one, The Good Friend. This is a proof copy, as you can tell, because it doesn't actually say The Good Friend on the front. It does down the side. This is sort of a psychological sort of drama, I would say. It is about frenemies, I would go as far as to say. It's a woman who, she had a best friend and a boyfriend when she was a teenager, but her mum has died and her dad wants her to sort of take up swimming. So she ends up being pushed by everybody into moving to Australia to pursue her swimming career and becomes an Olympic medalist. And then 8 years later, out of the blue, she decides to pick up contact with her old best friend, who is now living in rural France in all the sort of the lavender fields, and it's a gorgeous setting. And she goes to visit this friend, and she starts to sort of examine their relationship, and she starts to sort of unravel it a bit and realise that all isn't as it seems, and that a friend might not actually be quite as good a friend as she thinks she is. But then again, she doesn't seem the best of friends either, and there's just this weird sort of power struggle between the 2 women. But I found it really quite enjoyable, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed reading it, and I was part of a blog tour for it. So my blog will be linked down below if you want to read the post and what I had to say about it and see the beautiful picture, if I do say so myself, that I made for this book. So yeah, that's The Good Friend by Jo Baldwin. The next book that I've got is this one. This is The Bad Daughter by Joy Fielding. I loved this. I was sent this for review. I absolutely adored it. I thought it was brilliant. I've seen sort of conflicting views online, and this is the first Joy Fielding book that I've read, but I thought this was brilliant. I gave it 5 out of 5, and yes, I did guess the twist. I did guess who, well, no, I didn't guess the full twist, but I did guess who the killer was. But it didn't spoil my enjoyment of the book. I really enjoyed watching things unfold, and this is about Robin, who after it happened, I won't say what it is, obviously, after it happened, she moves away and she doesn't really speak to her family anymore. But then she receives a phone call that something has happened to her family and they're left fighting for their lives. And so Robin has to come back, and then we find out what secrets the family have been holding, what has gone on, who's done this, who's attacked the family and left them fighting for their lives. Heads up, I guessed it, but it was still really good. And just, yeah, I mean, if you haven't read this, do so and let me know what you think. So that's The Bad Daughter by Joy Fielding. The next book that I've got, what a drain on my emotional well-being this book was. Wow. This is Island Wife by Judy Fairbairns. This is not as it was sold. Let me tell you, right? Let me read this to you and let's see what you think this is about. So, it says, Island Wife tells the story of Judy, who at 19 met her wild pioneer, who whisked her off to an adventure, a marriage of 40 years and a life on a remote Hebridean island. Along the way, she bears 5 children, learns how to run a farm and a hotel, starts a recording studio, the island's first whale watching business with her husband, all while inventively making fraying ends meet. When her children start to leave home, things fall apart and there is sadness and joy in how she puts it back together. Judy tells the story in a clear and unique voice, in turns funny, unforgettable and intensely moving. So I picked this up thinking, oh yeah, she's going to have a great life. She's going to live a lovely life on the island with the man of her dreams. She's going to have these lovely children. Then she's going to be really sad when they start to fly the nest and she gets empty nest syndrome, but she's going to put it all back together. It's going to be great. No. This book actually really peed me off. It annoyed me. People online have reviewed this in sort of a, oh, it's so romantic. What a lovely writing style. It's so floaty and floral, and oh my god, what a load of tripe I found this to be. And I'm sorry, but the woman is an absolute misery. A self-indulgent, waffling misery. And I'm sorry if you read this book and you loved it. No, I'm not. I have my opinions. I said in the beginning of this year that I'm not going to be sorry for my opinions. I'm not. I didn't like this book. There are parts of this book that left me aghast. For example, she has a son, right? She has her first son. I'm going to put this down. She has her first son, and he's a baby. He's crying, as babies do. I've had 2 of them. One of them currently still is a baby. He cries. And at some point, she just loses her shit and starts to shake him. She actually shakes the baby. And then I'm pretty sure the baby falls and bumps his head or something, because she's like attacked him. And rather than being sort of put forward as slightly a bit of a monster for shaking a newborn baby, people put it forward as, oh yes, motherhood on the islands. Well, if that's the way motherhood on the islands is, I wouldn't fit in very well there, because if I find out someone had shook a baby, I certainly wouldn't want to be friends with them anymore. And there are other things like that. Her husband, for one, is not her wild pioneer. The way he's described, he seems a filthy man who never gets a bath. And he just puts her down constantly and makes her sort of, her only job is to bear children and make food, and she sort of puts up with it, and everybody just runs amok around her, and then at some point she just buggers off and leaves them all. So I mean, I don't know where I went wrong with that. Everyone else seemed to love it, but I thought it was self-indulgent, piffle, and I hated it. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that one. So let me know if you've read any of them. If you're going to, let me know if you've read Judy Fairbairn's Island Wife and liked it. Awkward. And I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.